These are 4 of the worst airshow disasters that cost a lot of lives and prompted regulations changes. On August 28, 1988, Ramstein Air Base in West Germany, the largest U.S. Air Force installation outside the United States, hosted its annual Flugtag 88 Air Show beneath a clear sky. An estimated 300,000 spectators, including NATO families and aviation enthusiasts from across Germany and beyond, filled the grounds. The headline act featured Italy's elite Frecce Tricolori aerobatic team, flying Aermacchi MB-339 jets. Leading the formation was Lieutenant Colonel Mario Naldini, with the call sign Pony 1, a veteran commander. The solo pilot was Lieutenant Colonel Ivo Nutarelli, Pony 10, famed for high-risk maneuvers like the bell ringer. Captain Giorgio Alessio, Pony 2, held the number 2 position on the left. All 3 were seasoned, decorated display pilots. The routine's centerpiece was the pierced heart formation. 2 5-jet groups traced a giant heart in colored smoke, converging at the base as the solo pilot dove straight through the lower tip, visually piercing it along the runway toward the crowd. The maneuver required razor-sharp timing and geometry, rehearsed a lot of times before. As the 10 jets looped and shaped the heart with split-second accuracy, Nutarelli began his final run. In those last seconds, something went very wrong. Video evidence shows Nutarelli arriving too low and too fast at the crossing point, striking the leading jet, Naldini, shearing off its tail. Naldini's damaged aircraft then collided with the adjacent jet of Captain Giorgio Alessio, sending it crashing beside the runway in a fireball. Nutarelli's flaming MB-339 cartwheeled across the runway, through a fence and emergency road, into the spectator area, striking a police vehicle, concertina wire, and an ice cream truck before erupting. From mid-air collision to crowd impact, less than 7 seconds elapsed. All 3 pilots, Naldini, Nutarelli, and Alessio, died. On the ground, 67 spectators lost their lives, and about 346 were seriously injured, roughly 30 killed immediately, many others later from burns and trauma. Among the dead was U.S. Army medevac pilot Captain Kim Strader, passed away in hospital after Nutarelli's jet debris hit a standby UH-60 Blackhawk he was in. Most victims were German civilians. Total fatalities reached 70, making Ramstein the deadliest airshow disaster in history at the time. The tragedy transformed airshow safety. Germany banned public aerobatics for 3 years, then reinstated them with stricter rules, wider separation from spectators, and no maneuvers aimed at crowds. On July 27, 2002, Sknyliv airfield just outside Lviv, Ukraine, hosted a major air show marking the 60th anniversary of the Ukrainian Air Force's 14th Air Corps. More than 10,000 spectators, including service members, families, and local civilians, crowded the field under clear summer skies. The highlight was a performance by the Ukrainian Air Force aerobatic team, the Ukrainian Falcons, flying a 2-seat Sukhoi Su-27 UB fighter trainer. At the controls was Lieutenant Colonel Volodymyr Topinar, the Falcon's chief pilot, a veteran with roughly 27 years of flying experience and over 2,000 flight hours. In the rear cockpit sat Major Yuri Yegorov, his regular partner in demonstrations. Both were seasoned fighter pilots, accustomed to high-speed, low-altitude precision maneuvers. The audience expected a dramatic display of skill and power from one of the most formidable aircraft in the Ukrainian inventory. At approximately 12:52 p.m., the Su-27 UB began a complex aerobatic sequence at very low altitude, entering a rapid roll toward the runway. As the jet completed the roll, it continued descending more steeply than intended. Witness accounts and cockpit recordings later indicated that the aircraft's left wing dropped abruptly before it managed to level out. Realizing they had lost control and were dangerously low, Topinar and Yegorov ejected almost simultaneously. Seconds later, the unmanned Su-27 struck the ground near the runway edge, skidded forward, and collided with the nose of a parked Ilyushin Il-76 transport aircraft. The impact triggered a massive explosion. The burning wreckage then cartwheeled into the densely packed crowd, scattering debris and flames among spectators. Both pilots survived ejection with minor injuries, but the ground toll was catastrophic. 77 spectators killed and about 543 injured, mostly civilians. It remains the deadliest airshow disaster ever. A government probe led by National Security Secretary Yevhen Marchuk blamed the crew for deviating from the approved flight plan and executing a dangerous low-altitude maneuver too close to spectators. President Leonid Kuchma publicly condemned Air Force leadership, fired the Air Force commander, and criticized allowing jets near crowds. In 2005, a Lviv military court sentenced Lieutenant Colonel Volodymyr Topinar to 14 years and Major Yuri Yegorov to 8 years in prison, plus heavy fines. Both maintained that poor planning and safety lapses were major factors. Yegorov's sentence was later commuted in 2008. The Ukrainian Falcons were disbanded, large public air shows were suspended, and the tragedy led to major nationwide aviation safety reforms. The Reno Air races began in the 1960s and became one of the most intense closed-course air racing events in the world, featuring heavily modified World War II fighters capable of exceeding 400 to 500 miles per hour on the 8.5-mile course. One of its most seasoned competitors was James Kent Jimmy Leeward, born in 1936, a real estate developer who grew up around aviation in a family of pilots. Over decades, he flew numerous warbirds and display aircraft, winning a race in 1986 with his P-51 Mustang Cloud Dancer. By 2011, he was flying a modified P-51D Mustang called the Galloping Ghost, race number 177. Purchased in 1983 and extensively redesigned beginning in 2007 with a shortened wing, altered fuselage, revised cooling system, and modified tail surfaces, the aircraft was optimized for speed, but its new aerodynamic behavior had not been fully validated through comprehensive testing. On September 16, 2011, during the Unlimited Gold Race heat, the Galloping Ghost was in third place on lap 3 of 6, traveling about 445 knots or 511 miles per hour when it suddenly rolled left and pitched sharply upward under extreme G-forces. The National Transportation Safety Board later determined that the left elevator trim tab failed during an aerodynamic flutter event. The aircraft climbed steeply before entering an uncontrolled descent. Investigators estimated that Leeward experienced approximately 17.3 g of vertical acceleration, rendering him almost instantly unconscious. With the pilot incapacitated, the aircraft rolled inverted and plunged nose first into the spectator box area. The crash killed Jimmy Leeward and 10 spectators, injured at least 64 others, and destroyed the aircraft, scattering debris into the crowd. The NTSB concluded that the trim tab system failure was caused by a loose lock nut and a cracked attachment screw, which reduced structural stiffness and allowed flutter at racing speed. The loss of the trim tab triggered violent elevator movement and structural overload. Contributing factors included extensive undocumented modifications and insufficient flight testing of the altered design. Before this accident, all 19 Reno fatalities since 1964 had been pilots, and no crash had killed spectators. In response, race organizers and regulators moved pylons 150 feet farther from grandstands, installed 4-foot concrete barriers, adjusted course turns to reduce loads, and introduced stricter engineering reviews, structural inspections, and pilot hygiene awareness measures. The Shoreham Air Show was an annual aviation event held at Shoreham Airport, also known as Brighton City Airport, on the Sussex coast of England. Organized by volunteers from the Royal Air Forces Association since 1989, it combined modern jet displays with historic warbirds and family attractions, raising more than £2 million for the RAFA Wings Appeal over 26 years. On August 22, 2015, one of the featured pilots was Andy Hill, a 52-year-old former Royal Air Force fighter pilot and later British Airways captain with more than 12,000 flight hours. That afternoon, he flew a 2-seat Hawker Hunter T-7, a 1950s-era jet operating in civilian display service. After 2 low passes, Hill entered an inside loop at about 200 feet and roughly 310 knots, lower and slower than recommended for a safe recovery. The aircraft climbed to around 2,700 feet at approximately 105 knots, leaving it without sufficient energy to complete the maneuver. As the jet descended, it was unable to pull out in time. At about 13:22 local time, the Hunter struck the westbound lanes of the A27 Shoreham bypass just beyond the airport perimeter. "11 people on the road were killed, and at least 13 others were injured." Hill survived after his ejector seat activated during the impact and was hospitalized with serious injuries. The Air Accidents Investigation Branch concluded that the loop began below the authorized minimum height and with insufficient speed, preventing a safe recovery. Although the jet responded normally to controls, investigators found the altimeter system had been under reading altitude, displaying lower height than actual, possibly affecting awareness. Pilot error was identified as the primary cause. The second day of the air show was canceled, Hawker Hunters were temporarily grounded, and stricter rules on vintage jet aerobatics were introduced. In 2019, Hill was acquitted of manslaughter charges, though a 2022 inquest ruled the deaths unlawful killings and highlighted serious errors in the execution of the maneuver.